And now it's time for another St. Louis 7, this time following an episode on OT with Oliver with KMOX's Tom Ackerman. Had a good time, talked about the podcast, huge fan. Everybody who, if they haven't seen it yet, they should see it. Talked about your start, talked about going to Country Day. What do you remember? Was it a good time?
I had a great time. I love that school very much. It really shaped me as to what I am today, and it made some great friends. I remember as a kid, my dad, who went to Clayton High School, telling me that that would be a great school for me because his friends who went there remained friends to this day. And I think that'd be good for you. And I wanted to go to a different school, but I woke up the next morning. I said, I'll go there. And he said, you will? And he's absolutely right. I have great friends that have come from there. We text each other all the time. We're very close. My dad passed away right after my high school graduation, but I know he was able to see me through a very good place.
Where were you thinking of going?
I would have gone to Parkway Central. That's where I lived, but I wanted to go to Burroughs. So it was a Burroughs Country Day. Ended up being great rivals. I have some really good friends who went to Burroughs, but Country Day was the right place for me. And we were the first class to graduate as MICDS in 1993.
So you graduate from Indiana. Your first job is at KMOX. Do you ever sit in a chair and just be like, Bob Costas sat here, Ron Jacober sat here?
Absolutely. And they set the standard for what we try to achieve here all the time as a trusted voice, something that when you listen to it not only is a place where you can feel confident that we have the answers and the access and the insight and the information that you need, but also that it feels like home. So this is a place where the voices have become part of your life. And I love hearing that we're part of people's daily routines. And that's what the great ones did, is they became companions. You know, Jack Buck was technically an outstanding broadcaster, but why was he so good? Because you felt like he was part of your life, and he was the voice of our summers, and we grew up listening to him. He felt and sounded like home. So those great ones that have gone through the years, it's amazing what our alums have done. And you mentioned Costas and Jacober, and gosh, the list, if you think about the people who have been here, Harry Carey, Jack Buck, Dan Deerdorf, Joe Buck, Bob Costas, on and on it goes. It is an amazing list.
So you're carrying the torch, man.
Well, I'm doing my best, but I've been here for 23 years. I love doing things locally and nationally, but this is my base. This is my place. I mean, I love this radio station, and I love this city. I grew up here, and it's always part of my heart.
When you go to Ted Drew's, what do you order?
Great question. It's an outstanding question that I would expect to hear from somebody who loves St. Louis. I order the same thing every time, and it sounds really boring, but it just, I think once you get into it at Ted Drew's, you know what you like, and it's hard to move off of it. For me, it's a Heath bar concrete. I'd go for a medium Heath bar concrete. I feel like that combination is the most, has the most firmness of all the concretes. You get too many ingredients now, it can get a little soupy too quickly.
It sounds like you've tested this out.
I have tested this out.
All right, you encounter 10 stop signs. How many do you roll?
Oh boy, a fair amount. I think I have a good idea of, it depends on the time of the day. I mean, when I drive to work in the morning, and now they're going to be looking for me, but when you get to work at 4:30 in the morning and there's nobody out there, I think you can have a good idea of what your surroundings are. But you got to be, I think I'm a pretty responsible driver. I don't know, roll is different than run through. I would strongly advise against running through. Roll, just be aware.
All right. So if you listen to the podcast, and that's OT with Oliver, wherever you get your podcasts. If you like the St. Louis 7, you can't subscribe. We've got previous episodes. I am a huge fan of your podcast. It was created post-COVID. I think it's one of those things where time just connected and a lot of goods coming from it. So if you wouldn't mind, let's plug the podcast.
I appreciate it. It's the Garage Happy Hour. It's every Thursday at 5:30 on Facebook Live and on Twitter, on the KMOX sports accounts, Facebook and Twitter. Twitter, we use Periscope as the platform. And it's always live, and it's always Thursday at 5:30. And my reason for that is that so when you open up your phone and you look and there's Albert Pujols sitting there talking to me and you can shoot a question his way, that's fun. That's different. And so we've been able to draw celebrities. I've asked and they've said yes. It started as just a way to get people to gather online and talk and take their minds off of things, and it has stayed that way. I'm very fortunate that we've had a lot of great guests say yes that has really pushed this show. Great sponsors too, who have jumped in to take this show to the next level. One thing that has not changed is I do it out of my garage, sitting in a chair. I have this little rolling table in front of me with an iPad on top and a beer off to my right. That's it. And it works.
And you're going to be superstitious and never go big tech.
The only thing that I would change, although it's part of the appeal of the show, is I might need to bump up the Wi-Fi signal because I have kids that like to watch shows, and maybe we're draining a little too much of the Wi-Fi. And I'm in my garage, so I'm separated by a big brick wall from the house itself. But no, it works. I love being in the garage, and doing the show from there just gives it a different feel. If I was doing it from a studio, it wouldn't be as good. The best part is that, I'm talking to Bob Costas and he's in his kitchen and can't hear me for 5 minutes. Or David Freeze is trying to get a signal on his phone and he's walking around his driveway and then out into the street. Like, it's just real. It's just real. It's what we're all doing right now, is trying to connect to each other in that way. And by the way, we're not going back either. I mean, this is the way we're going to be connecting a lot of times.
Girls from 5 to 6, no Disney Plus.
That's right.
All right, last question as we wrap up St. Louis 7. It's the same question in some variation we ask people, but you're born and raised in St. Louis. When people come and visit you, where do you take them?
Well, Ted Drewes would be on that list. I think that I would ask them what kind of food do they like, and then I would guide them in that direction. Take them to anywhere Italian. Does not have to be the Hill, but I think we do Italian extremely well. We do barbecue very well. We've really come into our own. We're not Memphis or Kansas City, because that'd be a little disrespectful as to how long they've been at it, but we're good. So I would get them some St. Louis barbecue. I'd take them to get food and drink. We do it really, really well. Post-COVID, once we get through all of this and we can all be back inside restaurants, even better. But even now, it's still good. I think that's one thing we do really well. I think that we do a lot of things well, but three things that really stay in my mind. 1, food. 2, sports. So Busch Stadium, any of our sports, it's all about the fans. So once we get that back. But 3, and you can do this now, we do parks really well. We have great parks and green space in this town, and family activities. So any of those parks that have something where you can take the kids, it's just a great family town. So especially when we have families in town, I like to take them around, whether it's Forest Park or anywhere else where we can get out and enjoy the outdoors.
Appreciate it, Tom. Stay good, stay healthy.
Thank you.